Muse for you, awesome websites without code.
Hey, what's up, Musers? We are now on day 3, which is the header and footer. And I'll go ahead and click into the folder. And here we have the assets for the day, the PDF, the PNG with an overview of the day, and the header and footer, the completed section in case you wanted to check your work or needed help with the section. So the first thing I'm going to do is open the chef website starting file here in the course folder. So in the root of the folder, we have the chef website starting file.muse. So I'll go ahead and double click. And here, instead of double clicking on the home page, I'm going to click on the master page because we're going to put the header and footer on the master page. And I went over master pages on day 1, part 4, where I talked about an overview of Adobe Muse. So headers and footers usually go on the master page because if you have multiple pages on your website, then you don't have to copy and paste the header and footer multiple times. You can just have it on the master page, and because the home page has the A master assigned to it, whatever's on the A master will be applied to the home page as well. So I'll go ahead and double click into the A master here. So I'll double click, and here we're in the master page. So the first thing we're going to do is change the breakpoint size. So here we can see the breakpoint is at 960. We want to go ahead and right click on the breakpoint bar, then click on breakpoint properties right here. And then we'll go here where it says breakpoint width. We're going to change it to 1600 because our largest breakpoint is going to start at 1600. And I'll hit enter. And now we can see our breakpoint is at 1600 pixels in width, and it's a fluid width breakpoint. And you can tell because it's a square and it has these arrows on the left and the right. And if I right click, we can see fluid width is checked here as well. So let me zoom out here. And I'm going to zoom out in Adobe Muse as well. So I'm going to hold down Command- to zoom out, or you can go to View and click on Zoom Out. So the next thing we're going to do is open the PDF for the day. So I'm going to go into the Finder. I'm going to go into day 3, header and footer. I'm going to double click, and here we have the chef website header and footer museforyou.pdf. So I'm going to go ahead and double click to open the PDF. And here we have the completed header and footer with the comments letting you know everything you need to know about each element on the website. So before we start adding elements, I'm going to quickly go over printing out the comments because I feel it's very important when going through this course. Rather than having to go back and forth between Adobe Muse and the PDF, you can print out the comments and have them right in front of you. I myself will be working with the comment sheet, and I will reference this completed section from time to time just to let you know what I'm doing and why I'm adding elements where I'm adding them. So here I'll go to print out the comments. You simply go to File, here in Acrobat, go to File, Print, and then here click on Summarize Comments, then click on Yes, and I'll zoom in here. Here we have the image of the section, the comments, image of the section, comments, image, and then comments. So we only want the comments, and the comments are on even pages. So page 2 has comments, page 4, and page 6. In between is the image, but we don't need the image because it's on the computer. And after that, you want to go to pages because we only want the even pages. So here, click on pages, then click the drop down, and then here where it says odd or even pages, click the drop down here and select even pages only. All right, so now if I go back here and look at the pages, we only have 3 pages and they're all comments. And then you can click on print and have the comment sheet right in front of you. All right, so let me cancel here and I'll zoom out. So that's the comments, and that's what we'll be working with in this section. So let's get started. Here's the fun part. We're going to start adding elements to the website. So I'm going to start with the header logo. So here's the header logo. I'm going to zoom in on the comment. So the asset name is headerlogo.svg. The X coordinate is 20. The Y coordinate is 20. It's 190 pixels in width by 75. The resize is none, and the responsive pinning is left. All right. So because it's an asset, I'm going to go to my asset folder. So I'll go into the Finder, and here for day 3 we have the assets folder. So I'm going to double click, And here we have the header logo.svg. Did I say that right? Yeah, header logo.svg. All right, so then I'm gonna bring the Finder kind of to the side, because what I want to do is click, hold, and drag the header logo.svg onto the website. So here I'm gonna click, hold, and drag and place it right in there. And there we have it. So here I'm looking at my comment sheet. You can't really see the header logo because it's white, so you kind of just have to like maybe zoom in a little bit, and I'll zoom in here into Adobe Muse. So there we can see it a bit better. So there we have the header logo. So right away, if we go to the transform panel on the left, and this is the reason I put it on the left, because we're going to be using the transform panel quite a lot. So here we can see the X location is 20, the Y location is 20, the width is 190, and the height is 75. And that's it. So we've already added the header logo. There's no, let's see if there's responsive pinning. Let me check here. Yeah, the responsive pinning is set to the left. So here where it says pin to page, this is I like to call it responsive pinning because it kind of, works as you resize the browser. So we're going to pin it to the left. So when the browser resizes, the element will stay relative to the left side of the browser, and this will become a little more clear as we start adding more elements. And the resize option is none. So it's not resizing. I don't want it to shrink when the browser shrinks. And there we go. So I'll show a better example. Because this is white, we won't really notice it if I preview it in the browser, but I'll add a few more elements and kind of show you why we're kind of setting it up this way, or adding, the resize option, setting it to none and pinning it to the left. Another way you can, set the resize option is you can right click on the element, and here you can go to resize, and here you can set none, responsive width and height, and stretch the browser width, or you can pin it to the page, to the left, center, or the right. All right, so I have it fixed to the left there. Okay, so the next element, let's go back to the PDF really quick. Let's go ahead and add the menu. So this is a big piece of the website. So let's go ahead and add the menu. So to add the menu, we're gonna go here on the website. We're gonna go to Object, right here in Adobe Muse. So Object, and let me zoom out a bit. Insert Widget. So right here, Insert Widget. Then go to Menu, and we're gonna add a horizontal menu. All right, and then on the place gun, you're gonna notice that we have kind of like this gray bar on the place gun. You want to go ahead and click once, and there we have a menu item. And the first thing you want to do here, where it says menu type, you want to select manual. Top level pages is if you have multiple pages on the website, the menu would then inherit the names of those pages, and you'd have a full menu right from the beginning. Because we only have one page, and we're only going to create a one page scrolling website, you just want to select manual here, and we can have edit together checked, so when you edit one menu item, all the menu items will change. So let me go back to the PDF, and let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 menu items for this menu here, and then we have a contact button. So I'm going to go ahead into the menu. I'm going to click once, then click again, and you're going to notice that we have these plus symbols around the menu item. Go ahead and click to the right until you have 6. So I'm clicking this plus symbol here to the right until you have 6 menu items, just like that. And then go ahead and click on the menu. And the width of the menu is 519 pixels. So with the menu selected, I'm going to go to the left, and for the width, I'm going to say 519. And the height is 34, so I'll just change this to 34, just like that. And we want to unconstrain this. If you find that when you're changing the width and height of an element and it's kind of changing, when you change the width, the height is changing, just make sure that this little lock symbol here is not checked, because it's constraining the width and height proportionally, and we don't want it to do that at the moment. Okay, so I'll just uncheck this here, and let's see, the width is 519. So I'll just type it in again, 519, and the height is 34. And then I'll go here to the X and Y coordinates. Here we have the X coordinate is at 869, and the Y coordinate is at 55. Okay, so if I zoom out, we can see we have the menu here, and don't worry if it's kind of like you see this line here, that's the header line. We can actually bring this line down to kind of say, hey, we have more header space. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and, you see this tab here, so we have tab number 1 and we have tab number 2. Bring that tab to you're at the 100 pixel mark. So our header is going to be 100 pixels in height. And that makes a bit more sense because now the menu looks like it's in the header and not somewhere, you know, above or below the header line there. And it just looks nicer and it's easier to distinguish that this is the header here. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to change the font type for the menu items in the header, in the menu, excuse me. So go ahead and click once into the menu item, then double click until you're in the label, and then double click again until you're in the text. And so that's, you know, I double clicked, so let me do that one more time so it's a bit more clear. So I'll zoom in, double click on the label, double click again, and then we can highlight the text. So with the text highlighted, I'm gonna go ahead and change the text. So I'll go to the text panel here to the left. The text is Montserrat, so I'll type in MONTS, and we want to select Montserrat and make sure it's WF and not a system font. I didn't go over this too much in the installing the web fonts, but we're not going to use system fonts throughout this course. Search engines cannot read the text in an image, and we want to make sure that search engines can read the text because it could improve SEO or search engine optimization for your website. So let's just type in MONTS and select Montserrat and make sure that WF is there, and we'll click on that. And the font size is 13, and let's see, the text transform is uppercase, so here's the uppercase, so we want to click here. And that is it for the text formatting. So let me zoom out here, and let's go ahead and add the names of the menu. So I'm going to go to the PDF. So we have home, about, nutrition, so I'll type in here, I'll double click. So home, about, nutrition, and let's see, PDF, recipes, blog, clients, recipes, blog, and clients. So one thing I think I did for this menu is I set it to, if I click once and then I go into the widget options by clicking on this blue circle, and I'll just go to the right here. I believe I set it to uniform spacing. No, I didn't. Yeah, it's uniform spacing. And then I'll click again, and let's change the width. So I clicked on the menu item again, and I'll review this once I've done it just to make sure that that's what I did here. So 519, and there we go. That looks a bit better. So let me go to the PDF. Yeah, that looks about right. Let me actually change it to uniform size. No, uniform size. Okay, so let's click again, and we'll leave it at uniform size. So make sure this is set to uniform size. And I must have not had the width correct because it felt like the text was a bit too, didn't fit correctly in the menu items. But yeah, the width is 519 and the height is 34. And then it's at 869. The X coordinate and the Y coordinate is at 55. And then we do have it pinned to the right. So pin to page, I'm going to say to the right, and that is it. So there we have the menu. You're going to notice we have these gray backgrounds. I don't want any gray backgrounds on here. So I'm going to select the first menu item, and then I'm going to go to the states panel. Right up here, we can see in the upper left it says menu item. I'll click on normal, and I'll click on rollover, and I'll select the trash can, mouse down, trash can, active, trash can. I'll go back to normal, and you can do this first. You can go to normal first, then go to fill and set it to none. So it's kind of this swatch with the red line going through it. And then I'll go back to normal, and we can see none of the states have any background, or the states don't change when you roll over the different states. We are going to add an underline to the menu, but we're not going to do that quite yet because it takes a bit more time, and I kind of want to move through the course and add a few more elements. So now we're noticing we can't really see the logo or the menu, and this is where I actually set a background fill here, and I did that by clicking anywhere on the page, and then go to browser fill, click the drop down, and I think the color I used was 262626. You can set it to black or any color and just click enter. And this is kind of temporary, and I just did this so I could see the menu and the logo here while I'm working on it. So there we have the header menu, and let me zoom in. Yeah, that's about right. I'm gonna go ahead and preview. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. Yep, and that looks good. There we have the menu and the logo to the left. Perfect. All right, so let's add another element. Let's go back to the PDF, and let's see. So we have the footer logo here. So let's add the footer logo. So I'll go back into, or actually let's kind of go in order here. Let's add the contact button. So I mentioned this, I think, in day 1, part 3. We are going to use the advanced gradients widget. So for this one, it's and it should actually say here, yeah, contact button background. It's the advanced gradients 2 colors. So let's go ahead and add the contact button here. And there we go. And one thing we didn't do, and I might either edit the video because I kind of skipped this part, but we didn't add the layers, the header layer. So the first thing you want to do, or now that we've kind of added elements, we have this layer 1 here. So let me kind of review that again. So we click on layers here to the right. So click on layers, and you'll notice it says layer 1. Go ahead and double click, or actually, better yet, click on this icon that says new layer here at the bottom. So I'll go ahead and click that new layer icon. Then we have layer 2. I'm going to double click, and then we have this layer options dialog box, and I'll say header, and then I'll click OK. All right, and the header we're going to have at the top, and let's just select these 2 menu items. So just select both of these. You can hold down Shift to select multiple items, and just click, hold, and drag and place in the header. So we're kind of organizing the website, and we're going to have a footer layer as well. So let's go down here, click the new layer button, and let's bring it below layer 1. So it's layer 3 here. So we have the header, layer 1, and then double click, and we're going to rename layer 3 to footer. All right, there we go. So that was the first thing we should have done. I kind of skipped over that part, but just make sure that your layers look like this. So we have the header layer, and we've already added the menu and the logo. We have layer 1 and then the footer. All right, so now that we've done that, let's add the contact button. Okay, so to add the contact button, I'm going to go to the library panel and open the library panel. If you don't see the library panel, you can go to Window and click on Library. All right, so here I'm going to type in advanced gradients, and it's advanced gradients 2 colors. So it's this one here. So here I'm going to click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. And these widgets can be found at museforyoushop.com. You can purchase individually or the subscription. If you don't want to use these widgets, you can just create a rectangle and give the rectangle any color, or one of the colors we'll be using here. Okay, so here we go. So color 1, we're going to go to the widget. We're going to say color 1, and color 1 is, I have the hex code here. It's F76C82. All right, and then I'm going to add that to my swatches so I can access it at a later time by clicking this icon here, and we can see it adds it here to the swatches panel. Then I'll hit enter, and there we have that color. Color 2 is E8AA7B. Now you can see why the comment sheet is so important, because I'm just looking at the sheet and adding these hex values. And then again, I'll click here on this icon to add it to the swatches panel, and I'll click enter. Yeah, so then if I look on my swatches here to the left as well, I have those 2 colors, and I can access these colors at any time as I'm developing the website. All right, so there we have our rectangle, and let me zoom in here into Muse a bit. There we have our rectangle. The width is 120 by 40. So I'll go to my transform panel. You can also use the transform panel up here in the control bar. I'm going to stick to the left for this course just to keep it consistent. So the width is 120 and the height is 40. So I'll type in 40, and the X value, I just moved the site a bit, but the X value is 1445. The Y value is 52. Okay, and the responsive pinning is set to the right, and the resize option is set to none. All right, and those are all the properties. So there we go. So there we have the button, and you know, before it was more of a square, now it's a button. because we changed all the properties here to the left and it's in the right location. All right, so we have the contact button background, and did we pin the menu to the right? Yes, we did. Okay, good. And this is pinned to the right. All right, and let's make sure in the layers panel that that item is in the header here. So initially, that's why it's good to kind of create the layers first, because as you create the elements, it goes in the proper layer, or you can click on the layer and then anything you start adding will be added to that layer. All right, and this will be more clear as well as we go through the course. Okay, so now I want to add the contact button text. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the text panel, or excuse me, the text tool here to the left. I'll click the text tool. Then I'll go over the button we just created and I'll create a text box here. And the text box is 94 by 16. So I'll go here. Oh, so I set it to 94 already. So I'll just say 16 here for the height. And it set it to 17. Okay, that's all right. Oh, because the text size is going to be 13. So I'll type in 13 here. And the font type is Montserrat. So I'll go ahead and click Montserrat. And the text transform is uppercase. Okay. And I'll go ahead and type in the text and then we can reposition it. So I'll just type in contact. And there we go. So I'll highlight it here, contact. So I typed in contact. I'll go back into the text panel and the color is white. So we'll change it to white. And let's change the X and Y values here. So let me go back up here. And the X is at 1458. And the Y is at 64. There, 64. All right, and then it's pinned to the right. And the resize option is set to none. All right, and then we have contact. Oh, we also want to center this. The text align is set to center. So let's go to the text panel and we'll click on center here to align it in the center. So now the text is aligned in the center and it's right in the middle of that button. Looks perfect. All right, looking good. So we have the header already. We have the menu, the contact button, and the logo. And we could take a little breather because we just did a lot. I feel like it's kind of like a cardio exercise, but we are kind of doing quite a bit of steps. So, whenever you feel like you want to take a little moment or pause the video, that's okay too. Because now we're gonna move on to the footer section. So let's go to the PDF. And we can see we've already finished the header section. The footer section, we're going to start with this white rectangle. And this rectangle, we can see the properties here. Yeah, let me zoom in here. So those are the properties. And let's go ahead and add that rectangle. Okay, so I'll go back into Muse. And I'll just select the rectangle tool right here. And I'll create a rectangle here. So here I have the footer rectangle, the width. So for the width of this rectangle, or actually first let's change the color. So we've created the rectangle. So now let's go to the swatches panel here to the left and just select white for the swatches panel. You can also go to fill right up here and select white from up here. So now that we've changed the color, we're going to stretch this rectangle to the browser width. And to do that, we select the rectangle and either here in the resize option, you can click the drop down, select stretch to browser width. You can also right click, right click, resize, and select stretch to browser width. Or on the left, we have resize and you can say stretch to browser width. So you can access the resize option multiple ways, either in the control bar here at the top or the transform panel to the left, or by right clicking and resize. As we go through this course, I might start right clicking and selecting resize this way, as it's the quickest way because you just right click, resize, and you can set the resize option by right clicking on the element. Okay, so now that we've set it to stretch the browser width, we're gonna set the Y value. So the Y, the position on the Y coordinate is 536. And the height of this rectangle is 303. So here I'll set it to 303. Okay, so there we have the white rectangle. Now let's look at the other property or the other element. It's the logo here. So let me go back into Muse and I'll go into my Finder and I'm already in the assets. So the footer logo is right here, footer logo.svg. and I'll go ahead and click, hold, and drag, place right in there. And the footer logo, let's see, it is the X and Y is here. So the X is 705 and the Y is 513 and the width is 513, or let's see, the width is 190 by, and I want to constrain the proportions here, so when the width changes, the height changes as well, or when the height changes, the width will change. So I'll say 91. Let's see how that looks. That looks about right. So the width is actually 231 for the footer logo. Okay, so there we have it, and there we go. So it's positioned kind of awkward, and this will make more sense in a second. And actually, let me clear this up now, because we can see the footer logo doesn't fit within the white space here, and that's because we actually have another rectangle. If we go to the PDF, we have this white rectangle up here, and we have this darker rectangle here at the bottom. So I'll go ahead and create this darker rectangle. So let me go back into Muse, and that is the footer rectangle 2. So let me create that rectangle. So again, I'll go to the rectangle tool right up here, and I'll create a rectangle, and let's see, I'll stretch it to browser width. So I'll right click, resize, stretch to browser width. The color is let's see, so I've selected it, go to the fill, select the drop down. The color here is 232326, and the Y coordinate is 739. So if you have the comments printed out, it's on the third sheet. It's footer rectangle 2, and the height is 38. So let's set it at 238. Okay, and let me stretch to browser width again. So right click and resize, stretch to browser width. Okay, so the height of this is actually 100. So let me change this back to here. Let me unconstrain, and let me undo that. So let's set it to 100. All right, so there we go. That makes more sense. So we have this bar here, and I'm gonna bring it below here. So there's a little typo here. Instead of this rectangle being at 536, it's actually at 436. And I'll fix that. It should be correct once you receive the asset files. But here, so now that makes more sense. So we've created the white rectangle, and then we've added this bottom rectangle here. And the next thing we want to do is, we notice we have these different tabs here. You'll want to select the footer tab right here, and it'll tell you that it's the footer one. It'll say footer, drag to adjust position. And we're going to place this right above the white rectangle. So it should be at 436. Let me zoom in a bit here, 436, perfect. All right, so there we have the footer. And now this element, let's see if it's in the right position. So 705, the footer logo. Okay, so now it's in the right position, and that looks like that's where it's supposed to be. All right, so hopefully that was clear. I know I kind of bounced back and forth a bit, but yeah, we created this rectangle. Then we added this rectangle, positioned them in the correct place. We changed the footer tab to 436, and we added the logo. So let me delete the logo, because now we're going to add the logo. So let's go back into the Finder, and let's add the footer logo.svg. So I'll click, hold, and drag, and place in there. And let's go to the transform panel. So I'll constrain it here, because if I'm going to change the height of the logo. So the height is 91, and the width is 231. Then the X position is 705, and the Y position is 513. Okay. The responsive pinning is set to the center, and the resize option is set to none. All right, there we go. And it actually does not look like it's in the center. So this logo should be in the center there. If it's not in the center, if you notice that it's kind of off from that center line, and this is the responsive pinning letting you know that this element is pinned in the center. If it's not in the center, you can just click, hold, and drag, hold down shift until it aligns perfectly in the center, or you can go to the align panel here at the top, and here where it says align to, click the drop down, select content area, and align it to the center, align the horizontal centers. Okay, so there we have the footer logo. Now let's add the footer menu. So for this, I'm just going to copy the menu up here, this menu, and I'm going to hold down Command C to copy and then Command V to paste. And there we have the menu, and we notice that the elements are red around, like have this red dotted line around them, and that's letting me know that it's on the header layer. I don't want it on the header layer, I want it on the footer layer. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag and place on the footer layer. And also the other rectangles we created should also go on the footer layer and at the bottom here. So these elements are on top of the rectangles. So these are things as we're working on the site we're just going to pay attention to. So as we're working on different sections on the website, we want to make sure that they're in the correct section in the layers panel. Okay, so there we have the menu, and I'm going to go ahead and change the font color. So I'm going to double click into the menu. I'm going to double click once, double click again to select the menu text. And then in the text panel, I'm going to select the drop down, and the hex color for the footer menu is 0E0E0F. Okay, and that looks good there. The color, yeah, we just changed the color, and the font size is 13, and the font type is Montserrat, and it's set to uppercase, so we're all set there. And then for the transform, the X value is at 541, that's good. The Y value is at 654. And the width of this menu, or we're still on the menu item, so let's select the entire menu. So we clicked out of the menu and we'll click back again. Then let's go back in here. So the Y is 654, so let's change that back again, 654. The width is 519 by 34, perfect. And the responsive pinning is set to the center. So instead of the right, we're going to set it to the center. All right, and there we have our menu, perfect. So there we have the footer logo and the menu. All right, so let's look at the PDF, and let's add the social media icons here. So here we have Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and YouTube. So let me go back into Muse, and I'll bring in those assets. So a little shortcut, and I'll show it real quick. So you can select multiple elements by holding down Command on your keyboard, or I think it's Control on a Windows keyboard. So I'm going to select the Facebook logo, the Google+ logo, the Twitter logo, and the YouTube logo. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom out here, and then I'm going to click, hold, and drag and place into Adobe Muse. And now I have those 4 icons on my place gun. So I'm just going to place them just randomly there, and then I might move them to the right, just like that. And now we have all the icons here, so we just have to work with the properties. So the Facebook logo, and I'll go ahead and click on the Facebook logo here. I'll go to the transform panel, and the properties for this one, the X is 1144, the Y is 770, and the width and height is 38 by 38, and the responsive pinning is set to the right, and the resize option is set to none. There's the Facebook logo, and then I'm going to go and skip to the YouTube logo. So let's see, yeah, the YouTube logo. So I'll click on the YouTube, or actually let me look in here. Yeah, YouTube is at the end, and then we have Google+ and Twitter. All right, perfect. So the YouTube logo is, let's work on the properties there. So the Y is 13, the X is 1362, the Y is 770, and 38 by 38. The responsive pinning is set to the right. The resize option is set to none. Okay, so there we have YouTube, and now I can kind of gauge where these should be. I'll go ahead and position the Google+, so I'll click on Google+, and that is at 1216, and 770, 38 by 38, pin it to the right, responsive pinning set to none. Okay, so now I know I can just position the Twitter logo here where it needs to be. Let me set it to the responsive pinning to the right. So I'll go ahead and use the comments here for the Twitter logo as well. So yeah, 1289, 770, and it's 39 by 38, but that's okay. Responsive pin to the right and resize set to none. Okay, so there we have it. We've positioned the social media icons here at the bottom. That looks good. And let's add the copyright information here at the bottom as well. So I have it here. So to do that, we're going to go to the text tool here in the text in the toolbar. We're going to create a text box here at the bottom, just like that, text box. And I'm going to type in the copyright information. So let's go into the PDF, and the copyright is here. It's at 2017 faux50.com, all rights reserved. The copyright symbol is not always so easy to access. So let me go into Chrome. All right, so let me go into Muse and go into here, and I'll hit Command V to paste. So I copied the copyright symbol by going to Google and typing in copyright symbol, and then you can copy the copyright symbol that shows up as soon as you type that in. So copyright 2017 faux50.com, all rights reserved. There, I think that was it. Let's go back into the PDF. Yeah, all rights reserved, faux50.com, and that's it. So there we have the text. Let's go ahead and highlight it. Let's go ahead and format the text. So let's go to the text option here to the left, and I'll type in Droid Serif because that's the font. So it's Droid Serif, just regular, Droid Serif regular. The font size is 14. The font color is 7A7F86. I'll go ahead and add it to the swatches panel as well. Okay, yep, and I'll click OK here. All right, so there we have that color. Now let's go to the transform options. The X value, or here, let me make sure I'm not highlighting the text, and I'll go into the X value, and the X is 200 and the Y is 780, and the width is 341, and the height is 17. Let me unconstrain it here. So 341 and 17, and it's pinned to the left. The responsive pinning is to the left. The resize option is set to none. Okay, so perfect. There we have the faux50 2017 faux50 all rights reserved copyright there. Looks good. So most footers, you'll notice if you go to other websites, they have some type of information like this, and usually, yeah, the social media is at the bottom, and then they have a menu for easy access if the user is closer to the bottom of the page. All right, so let's go back to the PDF and see how we did. Okay, so we've added all the elements. Let's take a look at the website. We have the menu here, and let's just make sure all the footer elements are in the footer. So if we go to the layers panel, we have all the header elements in the header, and then in the footer layer, so I'll close the header layer here, we have the footer, we have all the footer information in the footer layer. We're going to work with layer 1 on day 4, which is tomorrow. We're going to add the section 1 element, and we're going to rename this to section 1. All right, so let's go ahead and preview this. So I'm going to go to File, Preview Page in Browser. Okay, and they're perfect. There we have our header and footer. If I resize, we can see that the social media icons, let me move this up a bit, the social media icons stay to the right, the faux50 stays at the left, and the logo stays to the left as well. So as I'm resizing, we just have the menu resizing with it as well. And we kind of notice the menu is resizing. So we want to click on the menus, right click, resize, set it to none. So I'll add that to the comments as well. So right click, resize, make sure it's set to none so the menu doesn't resize as the browser is resizing. I'll go in here, right click, resize, select none. All right, and just as an example of using the resize option, so this logo here is a good example. So if I right click, if I go to resize and I say responsive width and height for the resize option, and then I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, as I resize, let me go back into the browser. As I resize the browser, we can see that that menu or that logo right here is changing size. So throughout this course, we're not going to be using a lot of responsive width and height elements. We're going to be setting the responsiveness to none and just rearranging elements on different breakpoints. I find this really easy if I'm working with multiple elements on a website. If you have a website where there's just images or just a few blocks of elements, responsive width and height could work really well. All right, so let me go ahead and set this back to none, resize, set to none, file, preview page in browser. All right, there we go. So there's the header section. The menu is not moving. That looks good. And one last thing, I know I'm kind of going long in this first section, but let's go to the menu, click the arrow here, and let's set the item size to uniform spacing. I like to have a uniform spacing in between my menu items. It looks a bit cleaner. And the same for this menu here in the footer. Click in the widget options and select uniform spacing. And the width of the footer menu, let me go back in here, is 541. 541. Okay, and let me just align it in the center again. So I'll align and center. So the final preview, I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and there we have the menu. Looks good. We have all the elements, the menus at the top, we have the footer menu, and the contact button here, and the logo here. So that's it for day 3. Just a quick recap. We added the logo, menu, contact button, the footer logo, the footer menu, the copyright and the information here in the footer, and the social media icons as well in the footer section. Just a quick thing as well, you'll want to make sure you add the header layer and the footer layer in the layers panel, and that the elements correspond with each layer. It just helps to keep the website organized as we're building it. And you can copy the copyright symbol by going to Google, typing in copyright, and getting the symbol from there. Just copying and pasting the symbol. All right, so that's it for the header and footer section. On day 4, we're going to be working with section 1.
Muse for you, awesome websites without code.